Well, hello there everybody, I hope you are well. It's MIKEYMEGAMEGA here, and today we've got something slightly different. This is my first ever How to Draw Anime Girls tutorial. So I want to say thank you very much for your feedback on this. This is what you wanted to see, this is what you're going to get, so no complaints! If you've just got standard printer paper, which is much lighter and thinner, that's absolutely fine. I would encourage you to get yourself some paper and a pencil at home and see if you can kind of join along at a similar pace. Papermates, pencil, HB, and as you can see it's just a cheap pack that I've got full of these things, so nothing special there. Very useful as well. Here you've got a picture, number one, a pencil, number two, a hand. So if you've never held anything before, that's also useful for retards. Just to give you a bit of background on this, I thought I'd quickly put this together, hope it makes sense, in that people tend to measure human bodies by the amount of heads that they are. If you watch any other tutorials, you'll probably see this coming up as well. A standard adult female character might be a roughly 8 heads tall. So here's the measurement of one of their heads, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more on top of that. However, what I like to do, or if you just want to keep them cuter or make them younger, is just lower that figure down. So I keep cute girls a max about 7 heads high, just like this one. Or you might go even lower if you want to make them cuter than that. Let's get that out of the way. So to crack on with that blocking out process, I'm going to draw 2 characters. One I'll have slightly to the front but an angle, and I'll do the same. I'll have another slightly behind to an angle. So I'm going to work out roughly where I want to start with the head. That's usually how I begin these things. And I'm going to get a circle going. Now what I'm going to do is try to draw these circles a little bit darker than I usually would in real life, so that hopefully it's going to show up on the camera phone a little bit better. So I'm starting with a circle here, and then what I'm going to do is follow the imaginary spine for a start to imagine roughly how this character is going to be. This character is going to be facing to the left, slightly away from us, and once I've got a rough head shape in, I'm going to think about where the middle of the head is, or where the front is, and that's going to be roughly down here. And then I'm going to drop some lines off the edge of this circle to actually fill in as being the rest of this face. So one here, and then this will be the jawline coming back up here. So it might not make perfect sense at the moment, but basically this will be the cheek, the jaw, the ear, and it's all facing that way. And this kind of circle here, this ellipse, represents the side of the head. Now, after I draw a line in to kind of show where the body is, the next step for me, which is usually best, is putting in some lines to represent the angle of the shoulders. So I've got a strong line coming here, and then another for the angle of the hips. Another one coming here. And a good rule of thumb to keep the balance right is if one line's going to be an angle for the shoulders, you want the hips generally to be slightly at the opposite angle as well. Because it just makes it kind of look curvier and bouncier. It's a great move to do. So now we can start actually blocking out this body. I've got my head, then I'm going to start with the top of the torso, and for that I've got this kind of elliptical shape where it's going to slightly represent the rib cage. So I'm going to have something like this. Hope you can see that. And then I'm going to have a much smaller circle or smaller partition area that's going to represent the middle of the torso and the abdomen at the front. And again, I'm using this guiding line that I've just drawn to kind of keep an idea of where the body's going. And then the best part, the hips, that's going to be, if you imagine a flatter inverted version of this, which is going to come out nice and wide. Never be shy with the hips. And then it's going to all meet together in an angle like this. So you can see I've got this kind of flattened, truncated shape here. So it's already giving you an idea as to the very basics of how this character is forming. What I'm going to now start to do is actually use some more lines to represent the limbs. So if my shoulder starts about here, I'm going to want to have the arm come here, and then I'm going to want to have the arm kind of go off away from us at an angle over there. So I'm going to have a nice circle for the shoulder. Again, this is how we're blocking everything out. I'm going to have a nice circle for the elbow, which is really useful, and a nice thin ellipse, which is going to be the wrist, because this arm is foreshortened as it's going away. And then I'm going to do the same over here. I want the arm to go down here off the side of the hips. So I'm going to have a nice circle for this shoulder. You can see it's just behind the torso anyway. Another one here for the joint at the elbow. And then that's going off, so I don't need to draw a hand down there. And I'm going to be doing a very similar thing for the legs. In this case, both the legs are going to kind of fall off the bottom of this sheet of paper. Just by the size I've made the head, I already know kind of what size we're going to be having for the rest of the body and how far it's going to go off. But just use that guide I showed you earlier to give you an idea. So one leg's going to go off here, and then one leg's going to go more straight down here, so that she's kind of standing at a jaunty angle. And then I'm going to be making a nice kind of rounded semicircle to represent where this is joining. So it's kind of joining up here. This would be the bum, here and here. And so we just come right off that, keep the curves. So we've got leg number 1 about there, and leg number 2 is going to be coming in probably about here. Cool. So I'm just going to fill in the neck and bring that down as more of a line. It's going to certainly come up in here as well. And then for the arms, we're going to just quickly join this together. So gentle curving lines just to bring all this in. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it gives you a good starting point. And then as you draw harder lines on top, then you can use that to actually reshape it as you see fit. So here's our foreshortened arm. That's going to be a challenge. And then we're going to have a hand over here. So I'm going to just make out the rough middle part of the hand. Have a little lump over here for where the thumb joint is. Flick a thumb off of it. And then just pop in some knuckle joints. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 for the knuckles. I'm going to hide the bottom 2. And this character is going to be doing that kind of standard anime thing where they go, oh hey, cheese it. So one finger off there. And one finger off there. Hope that doesn't look too freaking weird. So this arm as well, we're going to join it up. Keep those gentle curves. And then we're going to worry a bit more about the head. So now we've got our first character facing away from us, but turning back and looking on itself. As for the head bit, to map out where we're going to keep the eyes, we're going to put a line about halfway through. So it follows where the top of the ear meets the face and comes round for the rest of the head. And then I'm going to use this to kind of help map out where everything goes in the face itself. So big anime eyes, we're going to use this kind of middle portion here to create a nice kind of curve. Can have whatever we want. It's going to be a very kind of cute sort of character there. And then we're going to pop in massive ellipses for the eyes, big ellipses. So I'm starting with the top kind of hood of the eye, just maybe marking a bottom bit and sticking an ellipse in there. And then, because it's at an angle, I'm going to do a similar but much thinner version, approximately in this gap here that I've made between the centre line and the top of that lid. So this one's going to come right down in here, mark off the bottom, it's approximately there, and then draw in this other eye. So it's going to come through like that. Excellent. All I need then is to stick in a nose. So here's the area between the eyes. I'm going to make it cute, so the nose is going to go right up in there. And then she's going to be all big and excited. The mouth, some kind of massive grin, massive smile. There we go, something like that. And that's the very basic blocking out and placing of this character. So what I'm going to be doing now is go for the old sex sells adage and give this character some really big boobs, which are just basically circles. So go below the shoulder line. See, I've drawn these shoulder circles in. I'm going to have another line here, and then off of here I'm going to draw 2 big kind of drooping circle bags, or boobs as they're called. That's the technical term. Because this is off from the side, we're only going to get a bit of a sweet side boob, but you get the point already. All of a sudden it's gone from a kind of standard girl to a boom, a boing type character. Excellent. Right, so let's get another one in. Now we've got one from behind, we'll have one from in front. Oop, said the vicar. So again, I'm going to start off with a little bit higher up. I'm going to draw a slightly taller character, maybe just a touch older. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with a nice circle for where I'm going to have the head going. Let's just get this in. Something like that. Again, drawing much darker than I usually would, so that you can see it. I'm going to have the middle of the face go down here. So again, it's at a slight angle. And once more, just dropping a line off. Once this line meets about the same level as the bottom of the circle, I'm then curving that in to meet the bottom of the center line. So that's where the chin is. And then bringing it back up on the other side. Not perfectly the same because it is at a bit of an angle. And then pop in an ear round about there. So to follow this pattern again, I'm going to have a line from the top of the ear. You can see that the bottom half is where I'm containing most of the face, although any eyebrows and things like that, they can start appearing right at the top or anywhere else, depending on the character's expression. So this one, she's going to be not having half as much as fun as this one. This one's got big boobs, she's having a great day. This one's going to have smaller boobs and be a bit moody about it. Just playing God, really, that's fine. So her eyes are going to be a little bit lower. Let's come around these hoods. Drop in some nice big ellipses again. And you'll notice, just like with this one, because the head's at an angle, this eye's coming much further into the right and it's a little bit thinner than this eye here. And it gives that impression that she's kind of looking ever so slightly across her own nose here toward us, which is exactly what we want. So this one, we're going to have a nose a little bit further, around about here. What I'd recommend is make yourself a face and then draw in the features, rub them out, draw them in again. Have a play and see how you feel about where everything is. And she's going to be going, oh, I can't believe it. Oh, my chest is going to be ever so slightly flattered. That's not cool, MIKEYMEGAMEGA. Live with it. What can I say? So let's get this body going. It's going to be, again, running from the spine. So the back of the head is about here. And then you'll notice that a human's back is out ever so slightly by the shoulder blades. And if your posture is good, it's going to curve in towards the waist and then kind of pops out again for the hips. So following that, we're going to run some shoulders in, or some shoulder lines. This is going to be a fairly level posture. So across there, and because these ones are level, it means we can keep the hips level as well. Because it's not going at an angle, we don't need to counterbalance it with another angle. Hope that makes sense. So let's put the neck in. Nice gentle line for the moment. We'll talk about all these other bits and sort of how they work together, perhaps in another episode. So cheeky neckline there. And then I'm going to once again go with a very vague torso shape. So I'm creating this very flat circular edge for the top of the shoulders. And then I'm going to replicate very roughly the shape of the rib cage, which is going to come around here and then back up around here. Having done that, we're going to do the abdomen area, which is going to be a bit of a straighter line here, because she's going to have a flatter stomach, and then that curves in there. So if you imagine the abdomen itself is a walled area that is roughly this shape. However, I'm worrying about that space just by bringing a line down here and then another line down here. Then we've got our hips bit. So once again, we're going to bring a line off here and create this kind of nice, generous curved area here and here. Now it's coming out more of a curve on this side because it's not perfectly center on, remember. So this is bringing out some of that curve of the bum on the right, whereas this is just going over the hip bone itself. And then let's bring that all in around about here. Cool. So once again, we're going to be putting in the limbs. So if we're going to have an arm on this side, it might say come down to here and then just hang casually here in a hand. And then on here, we'll have the arm come out a little bit. And again, just kind of pop off to the side and rest. So we're going to add in some shoulder circles, just like before. We're going to add in a circle for the joints and a circle for where the wrist is. And just like I've done on here, once again, we're going to have a shoulder circle. And you'll notice they're not perfect circles, but it's okay. A circle for the joint at the elbow, and then a thinner ellipse for where the wrist is going to be. And we're once again just going to draw your nose up gently with these curves. You notice this bump I kind of put in around about here for the forearm, just to kind of mimic that shape. And then same here, curve kind of here, sort of there, and then comes out a bit for the forearm near the shoulder joint, and then works its way down. And then for the legs, these are going to be both, this one's going to go kind of down and back a bit, and this one's going to be just stepping forward ever so slightly, barely that you'd see it, but enough for us just to kind of pop that line in. So we're going to follow these curves. Here's the kind of joint to the hip, and then this one is just curving so slightly back with that step. Cool. So we're not going to worry about a massive hands tutorial either today, so I'm just going to quickly put in the main part of the hand, the center. I always kind of draw these little bits for the knuckles because it helps me personally place everything. Remember, this tutorial is my own personal method. This might not be the best method. Other people out there might know some great tricks. So go talk to them, if anything. But do leave your feedback or questions in the comments below. I will endeavour to answer them. So here I'm just going to have another flat hand. Thumb's going to go there somewhere. And then fingers are going to roll off. Don't need to worry about it. It's mostly hidden there. But it gives the idea of what's going on. So remember, this one was slightly unhappier. Let's pop this in a little bit more because she has not got massive boobs. So I'm going to go below these shoulder lines again, and let's give it just a little something. So quite large boobs if you're a person in real life, but we'll just go for fairly medium if anime. So I'm going to put the front center of the chest line in. It's going to help me balance everything, and then pop in some circles here. Like so, and then we're going to have another one over here as well, like so. Okay, now what I like to do is create a tuck line that goes back to the shoulder. That just helps with understanding how they hang a little bit in artistic terms, but not really a problem for this. We're keeping it fairly simple. So everybody, there you have it. You've got some basic framework as to how these two anime girl figures stand together. You understand how they've been put together with some shapes, or at least I hope you found it helpful. And now I'm going to go into the time-lapse side of things. I'm actually going to speed it up, add some hair and details and clothes, and then I'll see you at the very end when you're going to hopefully have two lovely ladies looking at you. But they're not real, so, you know, watch it. It's just a drawing.
Mikey, mega, Mikey, mega, mega, Mikey, mega, yeah. Boom, Mikey, mega, Mikey, mega, mega, Mikey, mega, yeah. Boom, boom, you're watching a Mikey Mega tutorial. Boom, 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 you're watching some sped up bits with his drawing here. Boom, 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 Mikey Mega drawing on some paper using a pencil and his phone. Mikey Mega is drawing, doing a tutorial for you. Mikey Mega, Mikey Mega, Mikey Mega, Mikey Mega, Mikey Mega, Mega, Mikey Mega, Mike. He's got a camera hanging from a thing he made using code hangers. It's really dangerous. It usually falls on his head when he does time-lapse videos and edits them out so you can't see it, but it's happened more than once. Mikey Mega, Mikey Mega. There's a tutorial and he's still drawing. Now he's on the one on the right who's all moody. Nearly done now, colouring in the stripes. It's nice. Hope you're enjoying the tutorial. It's Mikey Mega, Mikey Mega, Mikey Mega, yeah.
Everybody. Rough round the edges, and I've left in all of the construction lines that I drew earlier, but it doesn't need to be a masterpiece, just needs to give you an idea of how you can use that framework to then actually draw your anime characters and the clothes and the details on top of it. I hope you found this tutorial to be useful on blocking out the rough shapes to make anime characters. If you didn't, then you shouldn't have watched it all the way to the end. So if anything, that's your fault. Right, so is there anything else you'd like to see me do? Thanks for your feedback on this one. This was a suggestion from a viewer, so love it, thank you. Do you want me to do any more of these? Different tutorials, different body parts, or how to draw something else entirely? Let me know in the comments below. I have been MIKEYMEGAMEGA. Peace, love, and subscribe. Bye-bye.
MIKEYMEGAMEGA.